Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing another history lesson, and this is on the Mayweather versus Marquez welterweight catchweight fight that took place in September of 2009. Big fight right here. Pound for pound fight. Really big fight. Now, before we get into that, guys, if you could show me some love by smashing the like button, leaving a comment, subscribing to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I get, guys. I really do. You know, I'm just trying to build my page here, and any kind of love would be great. But hey, if you don't like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs down, or tell me to shut up, leave me a negative comment. I want you to be real with me because I'm being real with you guys. Whether you like my opinions or not, I'm giving you fact-based opinions as I'm trying to, you know, just build it up. I really love doing this. I love boxing. So, back to Mayweather versus Marquez. You know, this fight was a really big deal because Mayweather had retired after his best year, beating De La Hoya and Ricky Hatton in 2007. He retired. He took all of 2008 off, and in 2009, you know, they were floating around whether he was going to come back. And then finally, after 21 months, he decided to return against Marquez. And the reason being was Juan Manuel Marquez had already at the time, well, one, he was the reigning and unified lightweight champion of the world. And Marquez was hot coming in. He was red fucking hot. He had already had the two fights with Pacquiao. And in the rematch with Pacquiao at 130, which was 3 fights prior to this, he lost by a split decision in that one. Very close, good fight. Really could have went either way. The knockdown was significant in there. And you know what, we'll talk about that on another history lesson when I get to Manny Pacquiao. He's going to be after the Mayweather fights, mind you, so that could be coming in the next few weeks. But anyway, you know, Marquez had been in there, but after the Pacquiao fight, he moved up to 135, and that's when Marquez clicked. He probably put on maybe the 2 best performances of his career prior to beating Pacquiao later on in their 4th fight. But he took on Joel Casamayor, who was a great fighter. You know, Joel Casamayor, really good, tough fighter, Cuban guy, southpaw. And Marquez went in there and just broke down Joel Casamayor and stopped him in the 11th round impressively. And it was just like, whoa, the knockout kind of came out of nowhere, but it was impressive. And Marquez showed that counterpoint, you know, that he was a boxer and a puncher, as he had shown against Pacquiao, you know. So that was an impressive performance, but he topped that. That was in 08, but he topped that in 09 when he got, what's his name in the ring, Juan Diaz. And man, what a fucking fight that was, man. If you guys have not seen a great fight, this is one of the best fights I've ever seen. Back and forth. Juan Diaz was putting the pressure on. Juan Diaz was a very good undefeated fighter at the time. I think he was still undefeated. Or he might have lost. No, he had lost his belts to Nate Campbell. That's right. But Juan Diaz was very good, and Marquez was going to fight a real lightweight right here in Juan Diaz. And man, that was a fucking barn burner. And then Marquez beat him in the 9th round with a TKO impressively. And it just elevated his game right there. You know, like, Marquez became the unified champ, I believe. With that win, he won 2 belts, 2 vacant titles that night. And he was just red hot, you know. And a lot of people started questioning, could he move up and beat Mayweather? He started calling out Mayweather. Mayweather was the fight that everybody wanted to get, and Mayweather obliged. But there was a catch weight because Marquez didn't want to go all the way up to the full 147 limit. So he came in, you know, they agreed on a catch weight of 143, and the fight was good to go. I, for one, and I hate to admit this, but I don't know, I don't hate to admit it. It's how I genuinely felt at the time. I felt like Marquez was going to beat Mayweather. I did. I picked Marquez to win the fight. This might have been the last time that I picked a fighter to beat Mayweather. I think it was. Because you know, Marquez, I just thought, I thought it was going to be similar to the Jose Luis Castillo fight, but the difference here was that Mayweather was probably overlooking Castillo, and he was also, Castillo was the bigger, technically the bigger guy the night of the fight. You know, he was the guy that was the natural lightweight, and Mayweather was moving up from 130 to fight him too. So, you know, so in this one with Marquez moving up, it was significant. Now, Mayweather missed weight the night of the fight, which, you know, I think that's bullshit with the way he's always played around with the catch weights. He missed weight significantly. It was supposed to be 143. Marquez came in at 142, and Mayweather came in at 146. I mean, they might as well have fought at the full weight of 147. Now, do I think that made a difference? I don't know, to be honest. I mean, because the thing here that people have to understand is when you gain weight sometimes, it's not the best, you know, especially if you're like when De La Hoya moved up and fought Bernard Hopkins. He was so ridiculously smaller than Bernard, you know, naturally and everything, and he just looked kind of bloated. He didn't look like he was in great shape, you know, moving up. And you know, and he still fought okay. I had the fight dead even when he got knocked out. But Marquez, kind of similar, you know, he's moving up 8 pounds in between fights right there. And you know, that was significant. But Mayweather, he hadn't fought that low since since Gotti, I believe. I believe after Arturo Gotti, he moved up to welterweight, and he never came in any lower than 146, technically, yeah. So, and that was, I mean, the Gotti fight was in 04, 05, I believe. So it had been about 5-6 years since Mayweather had fought that low, and he comes in overweight. Now, yeah, I don't know if that made a difference or not, but I want to believe with my boxing IQ that Mayweather would have still won the fight. You know, no matter what. If they would have been dead on, I think Mayweather would have still won. And I'll tell you why. When you have two counterpunchers, and remember, Marquez being a boxer puncher, an aggressive counterpuncher, I always called him. You know, how did he beat Pacquiao? How did he stay in there with Pacquiao? How did he compete with Pacquiao? It was counterpunching, because Pacquiao most of the time was coming forward, and Marquez was counterpunching him. And his timing was well. So Mayweather, being the super counterpuncher and boxer, he absolutely dominated Marquez that night. He really did. He put him down, you know, and everything. But it was one, you know, this was maybe not the start, but this was the start of the reign where no knockouts were recorded, real knockouts by Mayweather. And it was one of the many guys, and I'll get to this, that if Mayweather would have finished him, because he could have finished him, Mayweather would be regarded as maybe top 2 or 3 all time. Now, I don't think he's regarded that way. Of course, he calls himself the greatest, but he's really not. And part of the reason is because you got to leave those memories for the fans. You know, you can't just, oh, well, you won the fight. How you win matters. It really does. And this was one of what I believe 3 fights, and I'll get to the other 2 when I do their history lessons, that I felt like if he would have went out there and knocked the guy out, because I feel like he could have, we would hold him in higher regard, you know, because Marquez is a Hall of Famer. And if Mayweather would have knocked him out that night, because people forget about the weight thing, and like I said, I don't know if it made a difference or not. I do know, like I said, it had been 5 or 6 years since he had went down to that weight, so we don't know really. But you know, he did dominate. He was just so much faster, and his counterpunching ability. And this was the fight that convinced me that Mayweather was going to dominate Pacquiao whenever they fought. I believe he was going to beat Pacquiao, whether they fought in 2010 or 2015 when they ended up fighting. I believe Mayweather was going to beat Pacquiao the entire time. And this was the fight that convinced me of that, because Marquez was so good with Pacquiao, but those are so competitive. I'm like, if Marquez, with his counterpunching ability, gave Pacquiao trouble, then Mayweather's going to dominate, because Mayweather just dominated Marquez. So, you know, that's how I came to that equation. But yeah, it definitely was disappointing for me, this fight, because yeah, Marquez was my favorite fighter at the time. De La Hoya had retired, so Marquez had become my favorite fighter at that time. But it was more disappointing because for Mayweather, I appreciate greatness. I appreciate, whether I love you or I hate you, I appreciate greatness in boxing. And Mayweather was truly great. He was one of the best fighters ever. He really is. Top 10 in my opinion. But how you win the fights against your peers, the guys that are fellow Hall of Famers, that goes a long way. And one coming in overweight, that by 3 pounds, that's significant. That was very disappointing. And then not finishing Marquez when I felt like he could have, you know, was also disappointing. And you know, that's just one of those things. But it was a great performance overall in terms of whipping, you know, being a one-sided affair, and it was a big fight. So that's my history lesson on Mayweather versus Marquez when they fought in a welterweight catchweight fight in September of 2009. This was also when Mayweather took the Mexican dates and started making them his own. So just want to throw that one out there. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.